What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is not really an episode of At Home with Mark. This is just me hanging with one of my favorite songwriters, talking about his new record, Six Tape. Blue, thanks for doing this again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I'm so honored that you think it's worth doing this. You know what? I'm looking at your pink light, and I'm thinking I need a fancy light. I think I can do it too. You know, it might not. It's probably not gonna show up. Can you tell that it's a fun color?
Something changed. I don't know if it's like my eyes and too much years of having fun.
Ooh, there. I'm a little bit red right
You
now.
are a little bit red.
Wait, let me see. Let
Apropos.
me try if I can. No, it's not dark enough in here, but
that's all good. Yeah, I mean, it's pitch black outside on the East Coast right now already, so.
Totally. It's actually been warm here.
Really?
Yeah. We had some nice fall-ish weather. Now that I moved down to Santa Monica, we get a little bit more change of season here, being right by the ocean, and it was feeling really like crisp and nice for like a good minute, and now it's gotten all like hot, and it's been super schizophrenic, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
Gotta move back to the Northeast, brother. Get all those long winters though, man. I'll tell you, I don't miss those long winters at all. Even just being like in Maryland and not in Boston anymore. I'm just like, oh, like I'm glad it's April and it's actually spring. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's a real thing. Well,
absolutely.
Let me just tell you, I started to say this when we first logged on, and sorry we're late, guys. We were trying to work out some technical stuff so we could hear the music. But man, this album is just from start to finish. I mean, I don't mean to make your face red, but it's a masterpiece, man. Like from start to finish, like from listening to that record. It's funny, the weekend that I bought the record, I also bought Weezer's album, OK Human. Have you heard that album, by the way?
Not yet, no.
Dude, it's so good. Like, so I had like a great record weekend. We took a little trip to PA and we were listening to your album and to the Weezer record. But my daughter loves both of them. But man, it really, I swear to God, like I've been a fan. I mean, I kickstarted 4 and I've been on, I think the first time I met you is when you came to Berkeley and I was in Pat's advanced lyric writing class and you came, and we talked about this last time, but you started talking about Jellyfish and all these power pop stuff. And no one knew what it was besides me in the class. And at that time,
typical.
Yeah, and I was so pumped because I felt like the whole time I felt like you were just talking to me. You're like, this guy gets me. But so I've been on board since Watch Pot. But man, this one, dude, you really knocked it out of the park. Not that you haven't with the other records, but this thing is so good. And the reason I wanted to do this with you is because there's so many layers to this record. Like, and it's totally you. Like, it's all of your, musicality coming out, and you can hear your influences and all that stuff, but it's you. Unabashedly you.
All the isms, I think, are definitely more ism-y.
Yeah. But I love it.
Because I can't, like, I don't know. At this point, I care less, maybe, or something. That's probably
it doesn't come off. It doesn't come across that way, man. It comes across like you put your heart and soul into it, and you sang your ass off on this album too, man. Like, really, really impressed with how, like, your voice is always great. I love your voice, and that's what draws me to your music. But like on this album in particular, I feel like you were doing things that maybe I haven't heard you do before. Or maybe it's because you don't care and you're like, I'm having fun, and that's why it comes across that way to me. I don't know.
I mean, the reality is I've never, even when I was like signed and on a major label and all that kind of stuff, I never considered myself to be like a professional singer. And I never wanted to be a professional singer. I never set out to be one. So for me, and I honestly, I have some like physical little issues and things like that, like chronic reflux and which is very, normal and common, for all kinds of people, regardless of whether they sing a lot. And so I have good days and bad days. That's the reality of it at this point. And I'm kind of like, I'm fine with that. More fine, I think, than a lot of people in my position, because I never, again, I don't feel like my identity rests on whether or not I'm a good singer. That wasn't what I was ever like really trying to do or trying to be. So I appreciate that that you appreciate the vocals, and I will say there's a couple good days. There's a couple good days on the record, and that's a win. And I do think also some of the songs I wasn't having good days as well.
Like which ones? Do you remember?
In particular, A Crazy Life.
Really?
Yeah, I had to like totally cobble that one together, and because like I sang it as I was writing it as well, like for the most part, there wasn't like this whole writing period, that preceded the recording period.
Right.
I just was like, okay, I got to figure out how to get this down, and so I sang. It's a lot of it's like right in my break, or like I kind of have like a lady break because I have a very like strong falsetto. In a lot of cases, my falsetto is stronger. So like I actually a lot of times look at my where my falsetto breaks rather than where my chest voice breaks. And so yeah, I ended up doing a lot of the chorus in this weird, awkward, barely making it falsetto. Whereas probably I would have sung it in chest if it had been a better day, and then the verses are kind of structured around the fact that I wasn't having a great voice day. And then because it's like it's hip hop style, right? It's like a rap almost that's sung, but then I wanted there to be this really singerly part, which is the pre-chorus, and yeah, could just barely made it through it. I had to do it like piecemeal. Little
That's fine.
Bit by bit,
You just comped a bunch of stuff together that you felt great about on that.
Or yeah, just kept singing until I got each like tiny little phrase or even word in, some cases and that kind of thing. So, I mean, sometimes that's how you got to put it together. And yeah, that's why I haven't been performing much, and I'm not super duper excited about performing. I'm sure I'll be suckered into it again at some point, but kind of for that reason, because it's like I don't, it takes a lot of work to be a professional singer, which I'm not.
But dude, I mean, come on now. You're like, your voice is like so like your range is crazy good, like you were saying, your falsetto. I mean, just listening to Chasing, like dude, like the way that you guys work together, I'm gonna get to that's my favorite track on the whole record. And I feel like you guys worked so well together. But like I think the reason I love this record so much too is because each song has a different thing. So there's like an R&B thing there, right? There's like a hip hop pop thing. There's like your Prince isms. There's your, ELO isms. There's like George. I hear a little bit of George. I hear Paul. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that stuff in there. So, but what I really dug is like the hip hop grooves and drums, like the way the drums are recorded. I want to talk about like all of the musicians that played on this record too, that made your vision come to life, because damn, dude, like what a bunch of great musicians that you got to work with. I mean, for real, it off the chain, man. Like everybody, like the Barry sax stuff and Baby by Your Side. Like, who is that?
So, I mean, one of my like newer, but not that new anymore, regular collaborators is this guy, Jesse McGinty. And now I've been making music with him regularly for several years, but he's all over this record. And this is the first, full length record. He was on some of those singles that I released previously. Actually, probably only Love You So. Well, no, and Woo as well. Because I think I released 4 singles before this came out. It was Love You So, Woo,
Symphony.
Yeah, I Want to Write You a Symphony, and then Golden Child, which didn't end up making it on the record. And Woo isn't on the record as well. Mm-hmm. And I worked on Woo and Love You So with McGinty. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of multi-instrumentalists. And in that upper echelon of multi-instrumentalists, there are like 2 or 3 people that are like stunning multi-instrumentalists. And he is absolutely at the very, very top of that list. It's almost inhuman what I'm actually being totally serious. And
I know people like that. I get it.
For musicians, they'll get this. The main reason why I say that is because he is not just a session player. He's a top call session player, like a first call session player for both brass and woodwinds.
Man.
Although he would say that woodwinds, are his number one, he certainly does lots of gigs on brass as well. And I'm talking about playing on, Kanye records and Lizzo records and again, if you know anything about brass or woodwinds, obviously you have to be highly skilled to do either. But the skills in many ways are actually very different. Just the way that you have to hold your mouth and the muscles that you have to develop. Yeah. It's almost like he's Bo Jackson, right?
Perfect.
Where he can do 2 totally different disciplines at this like unbelievably high level, once in a generation kind of thing.
Right.
But on top of that, he's like pretty good at a bunch of other stuff. Like he got his degree in bass. So he's like, and because he's like, I already know how to play all the brass and woodwinds better than everybody else I know. I mean, he wouldn't say it that way, but like, I know. He's like, so I'll do bass so I can get better at bass. You know what I mean? And, he plays drums and piano, whatever, blah, blah. He plays everything. Mm-hmm. But he also, on a lot of these songs, in particular, A Crazy Life, he really was the seed of the idea. So when you say those hip hop drums and drum grooves, like on that song, that's him.
Oh, okay.
That came, as a seed of an idea from him. I think, I can't remember. That one might have started more voice memo style, where it was just like a plunk out on a iPhone of the little, which made it into the recording. But then, because that was the only one that was really done 100% during quarantine, so we didn't get together at all. But because of that, a lot of this stuff, like I wasn't like do this and do that, but I wasn't producing him. He was just doing his own thing and sending it to me, and then I was like working off of that and going from that. So yeah, so he is a big influence on a lot of these songs. And then Taylor Locke, the Never Believe It was a song that I originally wrote for his record. Or that was the intention, was that we were writing a song for his record. And we wanted to do a cross between Dire Straits and ELO, which is just exactly what that song is. Like,
yeah.
I
Is
mean,
that a clav, Blue, or is that a guitar part? That the beginning, like, was that a
it's
clavinet?
it's guitar
It sounds
and
so like
and
percussive.
which he's playing because he is a real study of all those kind of classic players. So he is doing a Knopfler deal.
Right.
I mean, he's using the technique, the Knopfler like finger technique, whatever that is.
Right.
So it's that, but then I felt like it sounded too much like Knopfler. So then I had my buddy who I've collaborated with for a long time, Joe Siders, who's another unbelievable upper echelon multi-instrumentalist. I had him play whirly. So it's guitar and whirly, but playing literally exactly the same part, exactly the same notes.
Okay.
So it's meant to sound like, this kind of hybrid amalgam,
Yeah.
thing. Like you can't quite put your finger on what it is type of
Totally.
thing.
No, it got me. I was like, it sounds so percussive. I was wondering if it was a clavinet because it has that bite to it and that kind of vibe. You know what I mean? That you just kind of, it's almost like a texture that you can taste. You know what I mean? In the mix, it's cool. Really
Yeah,
cool.
and Ducky, engineered that one as well. Ducky Carlisle, another longtime collaborator who, there's a lot of old kind of cohorts that I made a specific effort to get involved in the record, like Ducky. Like I easily could have just made the whole thing, on the West Coast and my space and my buddies' spaces and stuff like that. But I really wanted, to work with Ducky and
He's your
so
ride or die, man. You got to, right? Like,
exactly,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. And so he that's his whirly through that's his whole setup, that he's like, this is how, and like, even like while we were recording it, I remember him being like, that's not it. We gotta, like, dialing it in more
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So,
Well, let's
uh,
play some of the music for people too, because I wanna talk. We're not gonna have enough time. I'm gonna go as fast as I can. We're not gonna listen to whole tunes, but I just want to like play some of this music and just ask you while it's playing about the tunes, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But
all good.
let's just roll into like I want to write you a symphony because this song, I feel like I heard this like was it maybe I saw you post something on Facebook or something like that. And I was like, oh, Blue has a new song out? Like, what the heck, dude? And I like basically went in and bought it immediately because I'll always just basically buy your your music because I love it so much. But this track, here, let's start it. Can we all hear that?
I wanna write you a
Is
symphony,
that coming through, Blue?
replete with canon and timpani.
All right, so let's pause that right there.
Different keys.
VSTs, I'm gathering. How did you do that?
The
Like the timpani and stuff and like the strings, were those like actual strings or did you like use VSTs on that stuff?
I love that you refer to them as VSTs, by the way. MIDI instruments, right? Virtual instruments is what you mean for the layman.
Yes. Yes.
It's a combo. All of it is. The timpani and the canon are not real, although I have gotten help from people to do real timpani on recordings in the past. That didn't come together for this particular one, but the strings, the whole string arrangement, I worked with McLean Deemer, another longtime collaborator, on that, and then we recorded a quartet put together by another very longtime great friend of mine, Chiara Perico is her name, who's now a huge top call session and live player. She's played with Adele and Ariana Grande, and I mean the credits just go on and on. It's ridiculous. So it's virtual instrument with real players overdubbed a bunch of times on top to simulate, especially at the end. You know, we really concentrated on getting that end part right. So I do that a lot where I'm mixing, you know, the two to sort of because you got to have that reel in there to elevate, you know, the MIDI or the virtual instruments, so to speak.
It's like that Hans Zimmer thing where you're layering with the, you know, virtual instrument and the
totally.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And one other thing I will say about this is that the guitar was recorded at a retreat that I've been to a couple of times in Zihuatanejo, Mexico.
Really?
And so like I actually put the bones of the whole song down in Zihuatanejo. I've been down there twice now. Once for a long trip for To Hell With You, and once for a long trip for Six Tape to you know, just basically have a writing and recording retreat to try to, you know, lay a bunch of stuff down in a sort of idyllic environment. So that was,
oh, man.
That was cool. So every time I hear that guitar at the beginning, that's the first thing I always think is that, oh, that's I like see where I record it, because I was looking at the ocean.
Oh man,
like while I was recording that, like, you can't forget that.
Oh my gosh, dude, it sounds gorgeous. The guitar on this sounds gorgeous. All right, let's listen to a little bit more.
Then maybe you'd see me differently.
I love how like forward your voice is too on this track.
I wanna write you an epic poem.
That's all.
Where the hero fights for his love at home. That's what happens in an epic poem.
For those who don't know.
In leather tones.
Oh man, it's so good, man.
Maybe you'd read me differently.
Everything breathes so well on this track.
You can see it on the waveform.
Yeah.
Stupid tune.
You can.
That's not enough to make
beautiful.
you feel the way I do.
And then this is my favorite thing about you, is your sense of humor in the second verse.
I wanna write you a big hit record. Sing the words in a southern accent.
Love it.
Print all the copies from the platinum lacquer. Put your
And this
face
drum fill,
on
Bleu.
the dust jacket. Wanna knit your sweater, wanna write you a love letter. But you know
Is that you doing all the
Johnny
lead
just
stuff, too?
did it better. If only I were a little more clever. Maybe you'd see me differently.
Man.
That was
all I've got
all the
is
little
this
guitar bits
stupid
in
tune.
Zihuatanejo.
That's not
all the
enough
vocals
to
I did down there.
make
Oh, you cut all this? All the final
you
vocals are on that? On this?
feel
Oh,
the way I do.
And then, dude, the first time I heard this bridge, I like got all warm and
All
fuzzy and
I've
laughed.
got is this minor chord, line cliches. That's all I've got to make you.
What is that
feel
keyboard?
This way.
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I wanna write you a symphony. Hell, let's make it a trilogy.
Now this whole, the way this build Bleu, like, gets really big and
Maybe
burby,
you'll love me.
especially on these
Maybe
lines.
you'll love me. Maybe you'll love me. Maybe you'll love me differently.
Dude. So good, man. You know,
I will say that, you know, talking about that in particular, I I developed this technique years ago that I know other people do, but not a lot of other people, where I run all of my effects through sends, and like in my template I have this huge like litany of effects, like dozens of reverbs and all kinds of different delays and multi effects to do all kinds of different stuff. So I generally, rather than putting effects on the individual tracks, I always do sends, to the buses or auxes or subs or whatever you call them. But then I have all of those running through one single aux. All of the effects for everything on the whole track. And then I fuck with that like a ton. Like, so I compress it and I EQ it. And what that allows me to do is, like, on that track is to, like, I didn't have to like go in and find every individual track and in every individual thing. I can just take the whole aux and like build it up as that section is going, and then cut it off on a dime. And every single reverb for everything that's happening, on the whole song just all goes away. There's other songs where I do different things where, like, I'll cut out all the effects for like 2 beats for a drum fill. And things like that, just, I don't know. I really, that's something I like to do a lot. And it's very noticeable on this track, I think.
Oh yeah. And it's fun because it's like, it's the little things, man. And like, even how you sang that last line where you kind of kept it in the back of your throat almost, in a way, like it fit so perfectly the way that the song ended, and like this big build, and then you just get like really up on the mic, and it's just like so present and so intimate. It's just cool, man. I mean, that's what I'm saying, from start to finish, man. Friggin' masterpiece, dude.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is the mic I did it on too. This is like not a nice mic at all, and it's like just my beater, like carry around, like just like throw it in a bag mic. And I've recorded so many vocals with this thing just because it was the mic that was around. Now I think maybe it has some kind of mojo.
Man, yeah, it works with the timbre of your voice so well. All right, so let's check this out, because this is a tune, and like it's funny, like the first time I heard this, the last section where you do the I don't give a flying, like, my kid, my kid hears curse words like from music. I'm like, dude, it's just a word. It's not a big deal.
There is a clean version, and the the version that's on the Now 80. Yeah. The Now that came out recently, or they only do clean stuff. Even with all the big hits, everything has to be clean. So
makes sense.
Anyway, the clean version's out there if you want to. But it sounds like it's too late.
She loves it, man. We like crack up. It's so great. So let's check this out, because this is the hip hop group I'm talking about. The stars and dance in the fire. You wouldn't know you were remember what you told me. It's a crazy life. So when you get tired of losing your mind, remember what you told me. It's a crazy life. Yep. Shit got nuts and you can't deny it. Every stick of dynamite we had to light it. Every sticky situation we would find it. And you're goddamn right we liked it. We never got bored and we never got tired. We never needed anybody else to try it. We never even knew if we would survive it, but we did. And I would rewind it. In case you don't know where you go, I go. Maybe it's psycho. I don't give up, darling. So good.
So the reason why
the
reason why I love the end, and maybe we can just like skip.
Yeah, I was gonna skip to
the
it,
end. Is that the thing that happens in all those sections, right? It sounds like I'm purposefully trying to cover up a curse, right? Which I am, because my original thought process was I need to write this clean. right? I'm always kind of thinking that way, especially if it has like any chance for sync, any sync potential.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always thinking, oh, I'm going to have to clean this up eventually. I might as well think of an elegant solution to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what was happening in those sections. And I really liked it. I liked the way that flowed, I don't give a flying. Whoa. It's cool anyway,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's cooler than the curse anyway. So that's great.
Totally.
But then when I got to that section at the end and I knew I wanted the extra few beats and all that, I was just like, it has to be, I don't really give a flying fuck. And not only that, but it so encapsulates the lyrical idea of the song, which is that there's no rhyme or reason to fucking anything.
Yeah.
It's all just coming at you and you got to take it as it goes. But I found that so funny that I took all this time, theoretically, up until that point to artfully hide the curses, only to then just at the end be like, fuck it.
I love it.
And I think that's the kind of big joke of it.
But the way you did it, let's listen to the way you did it, because that's what matters to me. All right, hopefully I got the right spot. Let's see here. We'll back it up.
In your mind, the words you told me, it's a crazy life. In case you don't know, I'd walk a tightrope. Maybe I'm psycho. I don't really give a flying fuck. Shout at the stars. Shout at the stars.
How many layers did you do of that? And like, did you keep it together and straight singing that every time? Or you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is so fun.
The laugh is definitely real. That was just a laugh that I actually laughed by myself in the room.
Yeah. It's so natural too, man. Like, it sounds like it.
I can't believe I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, my manager's gonna kill me. But actually, my manager loved it. Long-suffering manager Stacy Peck. She actually hates the clean version because I was so bummed about having to clean it up that you haven't heard the clean version, obviously.
No.
Let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna send you a link because I really want you to hear the yeah, here it is.
Oh, good Lord. Let's do this.
Yeah, because I want you to play that exact same section.
Okay. Let's see here.
So you could hear the clean. How did I clean that up? I think it's hilarious.
Okay. Let's see. Let me see if I have to change my sharing really quick. I might have to change that. So just give me a sec. Let's share this window. Oh, here it is. Clean. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Just go to that same spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you get tired of losing your mind, remember what you told me, it's a crazy life. In case you don't know, I'd walk a tightrope. Maybe I'm psycho. I don't really give a flying pig. Shout at the stars. Shout at the stars.
Yeah. I need the flying fuck in there.
That's what cracks me up though so much, because it's just like, no, that's not what he said, and it's just like, I did like a bunch of takes to like really get that question mark on that.
Oh my god.
Pig.
Oh my god. I mean, I appreciate, dude. I feel like that song should be in the top 20, man, as far as I'm concerned. Like, that song should be all over the damn radio, all over the world. It's such a catchy tune. It's super fun. The music is great. The lyrics are great. It's got a great message. You know, like the video was super fun. I don't know who did all that animation and stuff, but that was a lot of fun to watch too.
Beth Jean, massive props. I mean, she spent so much time, dialing in all the details on that thing, and I still like watching. I'm still like seeing stuff. There's so many little things in it. It is so fun. She's working on a video for a side project of mine right now that looks to be even more amazing than that one, and I'm really excited to see it. Well, hey man, just because obviously we can't go on for forever. Let's maybe pick like 4 more songs, and and we can.
Yeah, let's go to my fave, because I don't want to not get to this. So this tune hit me so hard, man. I mean, so where were you when you wrote this?
Sorry, it's
man. Yeah,
for some reason the audio, it's hard to talk and listen at the same time. Yeah, so originally, my first idea for what this record ended up being was that it was going to be a whole record of duets or very, very obvious collaborations, where if the other person wasn't a vocalist, they're the highly featured instrumentalist, songwriter or whatever it happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the very first people, obviously, that I thought about collaborating with was Lindsay. Lindsay Ray, for those who don't know, very, very successful singer, songwriter, producer, with multiple side projects that all have their own like incredible successes in very, very different styles. I mean, she's just an insanely impressive person, all around. I mean, she's an amazing human being as well, on top of all that stuff, if her talent and accolades weren't enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do honestly feel super lucky to count her as a friend. But
she's got such a powerful voice, man. Such a powerful voice.
Oh my God. Just ridiculous. I mean, one of the most amazing vocalists I've ever had the opportunity to work with, for sure.
Let's listen through the first, I guess it would be the pre-chorus of the tune, or kind of the chorus.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to answer your question real quick, this, she had fairly recently moved to Nashville, and I went down to Nashville to do a little writing trip and worked with her at another friend's studio, Sandra McCracken, who's also a very talented singer, songwriter, mostly Christian music now, but has done some secular stuff in the past too. That's really good. And we wrote the song at that little studio that day, and both recorded our vocals that day. And I think I might have done a harmony or two after that, but I think this is one of the best vocals I've ever done. And the reason is obvious, and that's that, like, Lindsay Ray was in the room. I mean, it was just me and her in the room the whole time, and like, I'm doing my vocals, she's doing her vocals, and I'm doing my vocals, and like, I would hear her sing this like incredible thing, and I'm like, well, I gotta step up to at least, get to 50% of where she's at. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah, I'm not a professional singer, my ass. You like crushed it on this, man. Like,
this was a good day. I will say it was a good day.
All right, well, let's listen through. I just want to listen through like the first section, because it takes you on a journey.
Do I care what you think? Why did I try everything? Always reaching for the brass ring, looking for a way to shine. always reading from the last page, and no one ever knows the line. So why don't let it get to me? The more I breathe, the less I run. The forest or the trees, I'm done chasing. Oh, chasing.
Dude, so good, man. It's like that little, would you call that little section like the pre-chorus kind of thing when it drops out and the drums drop out and everything? Or how would you classify that part of the tune? Because I feel it as a pre-chorus, because once you get to the chasing, that feels more like the hook.
I mean, I stopped caring what people call the sections. No, I'm totally serious, because like I actually really try to write songs now with a disregard of those terms, because I feel like I was kind of trapped by them for a long time. And like, you'll listen to a bunch of Prince songs and there'll be this thing that sounds like a chorus, and then like that's the hookiest, most amazing musical thing you've ever heard in your life, and then that'll be followed by the chorus,
right?
You know what I mean? And then there'll be some part that comes after that, after that happened 3 times, that's the best part of the whole song. So I'm like,
yeah,
who kind of cares? But I think when I was writing it, I called that the chorus.
Okay.
And
that's great. So what's going on there in that section? There's it's just beautiful, the way that it drops, the way that you guys drop into that, and the song settles for that minute. It feels so good when it goes there. So how did that come about, out of that groove into that?
Well, Lindsay had a major shift in her thought process about her career that was happening at that time. And coming out of that shift, she ended up having just banana pants success. And it was something that was kind of on my mind a lot at the time as well. And that's what we decided to write about, which was essentially this idea of sort of chasing success rather than following the muse, so to speak. And or finding out where your place in the world is, rather than trying to force your square peg into a round industry, so to speak. That really is what the song is about. And so I think the feeling that you feel there is purposeful, certainly, in terms of it's supposed to be the like calm, centered, space that we're both philosophizing about hoping to be when we were writing the song. And I think that it's more than just, a drop in music and all that kind of thing. I think that that our like attitude, our sort of psychological state of mind at that time is in there, is kind of baked into those choruses, and or whatever you want to call it, pre-chorus, and the verses, like, because we're like, I think we were really injecting our feelings into what we were trying to sing about, because it was very real, for both of us. And I'm very happy to report that she came out of that, with absolute just crazy flying colors.
Well, man, it's palpable. Like when you get to that spot in the song, it does really feel good. Anyway,
I'm realizing now too that like, and I honestly, I didn't remember this until just now, but that I like that R&B kind of thing, that she does, like that's what I'm a fan of hers.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's why I wanted like the verses to be like that. And she really likes my, like, she calls it Rufus Wainwright stuff, my more sort of, I don't know, melancholy, languid, sort of vocally I don't know exactly what it is, but she likes that. So like that's why we made those sections like that.
Perfect.
So we're both we're both trying to like get this thing out of the other person, in the song, which I think is really cool. And I never really kind of like realized that until just now.
It's so fun. Who's playing drums on that track?
Oh my God, Joe Siders, of course.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can't beat him.
That pocket is so deep it's covered in lint. It's like
and I very consciously didn't, on this record, I didn't edit any of his drums. Not to say that he didn't, do his part. It's not like he played one take all the way through. He would punch in for sections, but for those who are not familiar, a lot of times live drums are quantized, like put all on the grid and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not doing that with Joe on this record. And this song is a perfect example of it. His like groove is really deep. And the bass player is somebody who I've worked with a couple of times, but not that often. A guy out of Boston named Mark Hickox, who's incredible. And their mesh on it is fucking stupid. I mean, that's some very, very high level rhythm section musicianship on there. And Joe's doing the straight against swung thing on some of the fills and stuff, which like I go crazy for that stuff.
Me too.
I wanted him to do it, like on every fill, and he's like, no, you can't do it on every fill. It's not special. It's not cool.
It's super hip. It's super hip, man. It's so great. All right, let's do one more. Dude, dude, we could spend 4 hours doing this stuff. So
I got a little bit of time here. Actually, let me check my see what's going on here. Sorry, 1 second.
That's all good, dude. This is fun hearing about all this stuff.
Yeah, I could probably do 15 more minutes or so.
All right, let's cruise. So this track I think is 100% you. Immediately I was like, yep, that's a Bleu tune.
Why do I love you so? I don't know, but that's all I need to know. So don't be asking, why do I love you so? That's all I need to know. So don't be asking why. I never felt so good before. Kinda makes me wonder what I did before. I was probably always wanting more. I never knew it could be like this. Kinda makes me wonder why I deserve this. Every day is like Christmas. If I stop to think about it, I might have to doubt it. Let's just pretend I never said a fucking thing about it. La 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 la. I know all that I need to know. Baby, I love you more than you show. Why do I love you so? I don't know, but that's all I need to know. So don't be asking, why do I love you so? That's all I need to know. So,
dude, so much happening in there too, man. Like, and it all fits perfectly. Like every instrument has its sonic space. Like, I mean, how many instruments are on this track?
It's not that crazy. I mean, there's, drums, bass, some percussion. obviously it's got the horn section, and then the flute and the glockenspiel are doing the lines together, which is an old, Motown gag.
Yeah.
And then the voices, and I guess there's electric guitar. There's no acoustic guitar. Piano, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not that crazy. And then, there's the program drums and the 808s on the verses. And I think some of that creeps in a little bit on some of the choruses. So yeah, it's not, I mean, if you count all the instruments in the horn section, but that's kind of, they act as sort of one whole thing. But that's another Jesse McGinty collaboration. And yeah, it's his influence is definitely all over that one. Although I will say the seed of that one definitely came from me, and I think you can hear that like in the chord melody.
Oh yeah.
Combinations, for sure. Which is sort of like I don't know. I'm not sure. Like there's a little bit of like some sort of ham-fisted gospel in there or something.
Yep.
Which is why I like that chord progression, obviously, that I heard from you the other day.
Yeah, I'm huge into gospel piano, man. I could listen to gospel piano and Hammond B3 gospel stuff all day. Like,
yeah.
Wouldn't get sick of it at all. But I think that's what I like about this tune, obviously. But your cadence, the way that you sang that part, let's just pretend I never said a fucking thing about it. The way that you wrote that line and the cadence of how you fit it in there and everything, I was just like, I mean, dude, like I couldn't ask for more in that very moment. But what's neat? What's neat about this song is like I had to listen to, like, it's just like when you were talking about the animation video for Crazy Life. Like the more I listen to this record, because dude, I've probably listened to this record already 60 times, like cooking dinner at night, like I will put it on while I'm cooking dinner and stuff because I'm the chef. But
same.
Yeah, dude.
My wife's actually cooking tonight, which is a rarity.
Yeah.
And it's her birthday. It's my wife's birthday today.
Oh, okay. So I don't want to keep you too much longer.
No. Shout out to she's still at work, so that's why I was texting her.
Okay.
Yeah. We're good.
Okay, cool.
It's only 5:05 or whatever here, so.
Okay, cool. But what I was gonna say about this track, though, like I'm finding every time I listen to these songs more and more, I'm finding different things. And like it took me a minute to understand the lyrics in that part. Like I had to listen to it a couple of times to catch what you were saying. Because most of the time when I was doing it, I was driving or I was cooking. I wasn't in the music listening to it. And the first time I heard it and what you said and everything, I was like, hell yeah, that was great the way you fit that in there. It's so great, Bleu.
For the music nerds, that's actually two misaccented words in a row, which is why it's hard to understand. But like I sometimes love misaccenting because it makes you listen more, and especially when you have like fast things going by, it's like, okay, like a lot of people are just gonna hear the phrase go by and be like, oh, that's got a cool rhythm and so on and so forth, and just sort of let it pass by, and that's fine. But then the people listening to it are like, what is he saying? And especially when there's a curse in there and stuff like that, it gives it a little extra mojo. I was very, very anti misaccenting in lyrics for years, and a lot of my early days of like professional songwriting, I was super anal about that, and now sometimes I invite it even.
Isn't that funny? Like feeling like, because I mean, obviously we both went to Berkeley. I feel like that there's good stuff about it and there's bad stuff because they get in your head about things. Like this is the way it's supposed to be. And like, I love my time at Berkeley and I work for Berkeley now. It's, but I feel like the rules, it's just like theory. You got to break them, man. You got to break them. Like there's no exact science to this stuff and you got to do what feels good. And that line feels good, So
I think if you know and you can like do it consciously and you're not just like making a whole lot of mistakes, whatever, quote
right.
unquote, all the time because you're too lazy to try to like figure out what it's supposed to be. It's when it bothers me is when it's associated with laziness.
Yeah.
But as long as we take that out of the equation, then I think that kind of rules are like meant to be broken. It's actually only in the breaking, quote unquote, of the rules that we move things forward, you know? So,
Dude. Well, it's a great tune. And it reminds me, like, this song could have been on 4, you know?
that one could have been, yeah, for sure. Although to me now it feels very distinctly like the thing that I do with Jesse McGinty.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It feels like that was a real kind of uh how should I say this? It's kind of solidified our collaborative sound in a lot of ways.
I like the sound. I like the sound. All right, let's take a look at one more now. I mean, really quick, just as like accolades for this record, like another one of my favorite songs is Snakes. I don't know, do you have a song on this record that you're just like, you know, it's a good tune, but you know, these other ones are you know, more of my favorite tunes on this record? Because I know I feel that way about sometimes when I put a record, I'm like, this song's like filler in a way. I don't feel like there's any filler. Don't get me wrong. There's no filler on this record. But like Snakes is a tune that when I was listening to it for the first time, I was like, oh. And then the more I listened to it, the more I fell in love with it. It might be my second favorite tune on this record.
There's a lot of questions in there, I feel like.
Sorry. It's my ADD.
It's all good. No, well, you were asking, you know, are there songs that I like less than others? I mean, I try to avoid that at this point, honestly.
Like feeling that you could have done more with it, because I don't think you could have. I feel like this record, like I said, from beginning to start is
I mean, they all kind of serve a purpose. It's like, I mean, Mercy Girl, like I really wanted to do a song like that. And there are some things about it that are maybe kind of frivolous or something like that, but like I wanted to do those things, so that like fulfilled that goal for me or whatever. I would say if anything, it's the songs that ended up as the B-sides. You know, that were the sort of, I had to make hard decisions about which things wouldn't make the cut. But a lot of those songs I you know, really wanted on the record, but I really wanted it to be a 10-song record, and I really wanted there to be very, very worthwhile bonus tracks that could have made it onto a record. That really is, you know, how I looked at it. And we're hoping to even release a volume 2 that'll have even some more songs on it, because there are even a handful of more songs, that I want to kind of get into a place where I think they could make a record as well, you know. But so, you know, that answers that side of the question, I think, which is, you know, I hope that doesn't come off as arrogant or anything. I mean, if anything, that's just my kind of like, if I spent the time to get it this far, like I kind of have to be happy with it.
Yeah.
You know, I all the ones, there's a whole bunch that didn't make it to this phase. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure you're happy with this record, right? I mean,
I am happy with it. You know, I'm really happy with it. But in terms of Snakes, like in particular, it easily one of my favorite songs I've ever written.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Ever. I'm so happy with it. Really happy with the way the recording turned out. There's some things about my vocal that I don't love, and there's some little technical things that ultimately I'm not that stoked about. I feel like I wish could be better or didn't meet my ideals.
I guess that's what I was getting at, you know, with it. But yeah, I mean, lyrical content too, man. That might be some of the best lyrics I've ever heard from you too. And Snakes, it's deep, man.
They're easily some of my favorite lyrics that I've ever written. You know, there's different kind of things, and I think a lot of times as songwriters, it's like we're gonna like things for very different reasons.
Yeah.
You know, than the people who appreciate the music are gonna like things. But I like lyrics that are really, really tight. What I say is tight, meaning that from a high level pro lyric writing perspective, they tick all the boxes.
Yeah, man.
And that have a lot of personal meaning, and are poetic but still easy to understand. Like you don't have to have a dictionary,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like ultimately like that's kind of the all around balance that I'm looking. And like when I think of the songs that I love lyrically, you know, which would be a lot of Paul Simon and Joni Mitchell for me, that I consider to be sort of to check all those boxes and be like sort of perfect lyrics. That's why I like them, you know?
Yeah.
And I felt like this was one of those songs where it's like, I got all those things as close as I could.
Okay.
And I'm really, and it's very personal as well. Very, very personal. And, in more ways than are just obvious through the surface.
Right.
You know, as well.
I think that's why it spoke to me. Like I've had moments where, you know, sometimes they get the man, my wife gets the man she met. Sometimes she gets the snake, you know what I mean? So it's like, it hit home.
I had a dream where my wife's, father, who passed many years ago, he was much, much, much older than her, came to me in a dream, and it involved snakes and things. This was early in our relationship, long before I wrote this song. And you know, there are some allusions to fatherhood with the rattle shaking, and you know, to be perfectly frank about it, you know, also like health issues and that kind of thing. And yeah, there's a lot packed in there for sure.
Yeah.
And that I think that I hope belies it just being a complete Randy Newman ripoff, which is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't think about that until now, but it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, I see what you're saying, but it's you. It's your fingerprint. I mean, it's what I would expect from you for like a touching ballad type of a situation. But to end this, I have to play the first. This is my favorite first line off this record, and you probably can guess what it is. But this is my favorite first line. This first line of this song.
I met her on a Monday at a Taking Back Sunday concert. Beautiful pink and purple strands through her hair like sherbet. So hot in the mosh pit.
In the mosh pit, I was like, yes, bring it back. Oh my god.
We both know we want it. She doesn't care about the latest trends, and I'm gonna love that bitch until the bitter end. My emo girlfriend, my emo girlfriend.
Oh, dude, so good, Blue. And the whole "she got a tattoo on her titty." That whole line. Oh my god, dude.
will definitely, I think, always remain the most infamous line of any song that I'll ever write.
Oh my god.
Got a
dude.
tattoo on her titty. So
It's great.
my favorite part of that intro, that first verse, is that Sherbert is the
Yeah.
rhyme, which of course is a common mispronunciation of that word, which is sherbet.
You
So
gotta
every
take
time,
liberties, man.
that's the thing that cracks me up about it. But it is very intentional. But because I was like, oh, if I'm going to write lyrics this ridiculous, I should also just go for the full mispronunciation
Oh.
of that.
And the so hot in the mosh pit. I didn't even know that was still a thing. Like that whole thing. I was like, oh yes. So good, man. Dude.
I met her.
Well,
I do love songs where like you get the whole song right in the very, very first short little line.
yeah.
And I met her on a Monday at a Taking Back Sunday concert. There's a lot of information packed into that. First of all, just that you're at a Taking Back Sunday concert, which is happening on a Monday.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
their career might be struggling if they're playing on a Monday. I don't know at that point. But yeah, no, dude, that song, I mean, that's what's great about this album. And I'm gonna stop sharing because I'm gonna let you get out of here. But it really, dude, like for real, it's this album has meant a lot for me in this moment of my life too. Like I feel like I've been going through a lot of stuff, and like hearing this album and, following your career since, I mean, when I met you when I was at Berkeley, when you came, that was probably 2010, I think. Or no, 2009. And I've been following you since, man. And when this record came out, I was so excited. And like when I had you on the show, when we were just chatting, because I like your music, and then you were like, yeah, I got a new thing coming out. When I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, he's got a new thing coming out. Like this album is it's just beautiful, man, from start to finish. And I so appreciate you for putting this stuff out into the world. And I want this record to go to the top of the charts, man. It's so good, and everybody needs to know. I've been telling all my friends, everybody to get there, because everyone always asks me, do you have any new records you listen to? I'm like, hell yeah, I do. Check this out, But it's great, Blue. And I really appreciate you taking time to kind of walk through some of it.
Well, thank you. I mean, obviously, it's these kind of interactions that make all this worthwhile. And like I don't think anybody is really trying to make music in a vacuum. So thank you for listening and for caring, taking the time to like actually digest and appreciate what I'm trying to do. It really means a lot to me. I'm very, very flattered that you had me on and took the time to like talk about some of these songs, because it's fun. I mean, who wouldn't love this?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I could talk about music all day. And like I was just telling you, like we just went to Nashville and recorded a single at one of my favorite band studios, and member of the band produced it. It's the first time I worked with the producer. After doing that, I was like, I need to do this more. And I was like, one day I want to work with Blue, because this is like it's just like such a different experience for me. I've carried so much weight on my shoulders for so many years of being the songwriter in the band, and like having to do that and like look up to people like you and the Wood Brothers and like Bruce Hornsby and all these cats who, like, I admire their music and how they shape, sonic space on a record or whatever. But I've always loved how you approach music. And like, for real, dude, one day I'll call you and I'll be like, hey, I want to do this.
Well, I will say if that chord progression that I caught on Instagram, I have the song in my inbox, so I'm going to check it out as soon as we get off. But if that was any indication, I think that would be a really fun collaboration.
Yeah, man.
I heard that and I was like, I want to write a song to that. Like that's seriously, like that's the way I felt about it. It sounded like exactly like that cross of sort of gospel piano with like power pop undertones that I'm assuming that's what it's going to end up being. I don't want to I don't want to, blow it up in my mind too much before I check it out, but
yeah, no, I mean it's like a, it's kind of like a groovy, like the vibe is like 60s, 70s kind of a vibe what I was going for,
Right.
But I'm mostly a guitar player. So like the guitars on that and the piano on that. And then Gabe Dixon from the Tedeschi Trucks band played
wow.
B3 on it. Had some horn players from Nashville, some local guys. So it sounds great, man. But one day I will want to work with you, my friend. So
let's do it. I'm
Yeah,
so
man.
ready. Well,
Yeah.
it was nice chatting.
Yeah, buddy.
Happy birthday to my wife,
Yes,
Chloe
indeed.
Macaulay, before
Happy
I sign
birthday.
off. And I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll chat soon.
All right, guys. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon.